Hello everyone. Today we will watch a short retelling of the film, The Ghost Ship. 1962. The Italian passenger liner Antonia Graz dissects the waters of the Atlantic, with over 1,100 people on it. There is a holiday on board the ship, singer Francesca performs a beautiful love song in Italian, passengers dance a slow dance. The girl Katie is playing with a toy. The captain of the liner approaches her and invites her to dance. Against the background of the dancing passengers, a hand appears pressing the lever of the winch. A steel cable stretched around the bow deck, where people are dancing, begins to reel in. Due to the strong tension, the cable breaks the fastening and abruptly moves through the deck, through the dancing crowd. For a few seconds, passengers freeze, a glass cut by a cable falls, blood flows, people literally fall apart all over the deck. Katie stands with her arms around the captain, looks at him and sees how his head falls off. The girl is breathing heavily, and her piercing scream breaks the dead silence. 2002 years. A rescue team from the Arctic Warrior tugboat delivers a floating oil platform that has received a hole to the port. In a port pub, where members of the tugboat crew are celebrating their return after 6 months at sea, a certain Jack Freeman approaches them. He introduces himself as a pilot of the Canadian Weather Service and tells the team that, while making a patrol flight over Mackenzie Bay, he discovered a large ship that was drifting with the current and did not respond to radio signals. The team was interested in this message. Captain Murphy, his companion Epps, Assistant Captain Greer, Mechanic Santos and 2 submariners, Dodge and Mander, go in search of a mysterious ship. Jack goes with them. On a stormy night, they literally stumble upon him. This is the Italian liner Antonia Graz, which disappeared 40 years ago, under mysterious circumstances. The liner was covered with rust, the lifeboats disappeared, and both anchors were cut off. Members of the team of the Arctic Warrior climb aboard and examine all the decks to understand what happened to the ship. Their radio communication stops working, they hear strange voices, laughter and music. Suddenly, the floor falls under Mander's feet, but Epps managed to grab his arm. While Mander is being dragged up, Epps notices through the gap a girl standing on the lower deck and looking at her. The next moment she disappears and Abs thinks that she just imagined it. It was the same Katie. Continuing the research of the liner, Murphy and his team are convinced that the liner has already been visited before them, and more than once. This is evidenced by the found electronic watches, as well as a pile of corpses from a month ago, discovered by Epps and Jack in the laundry. The next find turns out to be even more incredible. Several boxes of gold bars. Murphy orders the gold to be loaded onto a tugboat to take it with him. However, before loading began, in the cabin of their tugboat on a gas cylinder, a valve opens by itself. At this moment, Epps again sees Katie running across the deck and yelling at them not to start the engine. However, it is too late, a terrible explosion is heard, as a result of which the tugboat sinks, and Santos dies. Now the crew cannot leave the ghost ship, and they have only one way to escape, to plug holes in the bottom of the liner so that it can stay afloat, pump water out of it and try to repair the engine. On Antony Graz, horrors continue to happen. The pool is filled with water mixed with blood, in which bodies float. Canned food from the galley turns into a mass of larvae. A ghostly singer lures a tipsy Greer into a trap and he falls on the sharp ends of a steel cable that pierce through his body. Epps, interested in Katie, finds her name on the passenger list, goes to her cabin and there discovers the dead body of a girl with a noose around her neck and her ghost. It reveals to Epps the truth. Antonia Graz trapped ghost ship. Everyone who is on it has been dead for a long time, but their souls cannot leave the liner until a certain number gathers. Then Katie suddenly disappears with a scream, and Epps hurries to immediately find the rest of the team to warn them of the danger. Murphy at this time in the captain's cabin drinks and talks with the ghost of Captain Antonia himself. From him, he learns that 2 days before the disaster, a cargo of gold from the sunken Lorelei ship was lifted onto his ship. Murphy asks if anyone has escaped from Lorelei. Captain Antonia nods affirmatively and gives Murphy a photo card, seeing which, he changes his face. After leaving the captain's cabin, Murphy encounters the ghost of the deceased Santos, and he attacks him. At this time, Epps appears, but Murphy sees Santos instead of her and tries to kill her, but Jack stuns him in time. Dodge, Jack and Mander put Murphy in an empty aquarium and, together with Epps, discuss further actions. She instructs them to pump water out of the engine room, and she goes to look for Greer, but finds him already dead. At this moment, Katie reappears and, taking Abs by the hand, allows her to see everything that happened on Anthony Gratz on that fateful evening of 1962. It turns out that part of the crew of the liner, led by the senior assistant, decided to take all the gold for themselves. To get rid of the witnesses, the rioters kill all the passengers and the rest of the crew. Some of them were poisoned with rat poison during dinner, the rest were cut by a cable on the bow of the ship, shot in front of the pool and stabbed in their own cabins. Then the senior assistant, not wanting to share the gold with anyone, treacherously shoots his accomplices, after which he himself dies at the hands of Francesca, and she, in turn, is killed by an unknown person. After killing Francesca, he turns to face Caps, and she recognizes him, this Jack Farimon. Suddenly Epps realizes that they have all fallen into a cleverly planned trap. She hurriedly returns to Murphy, but discovers that he is also dead, and the aquarium is filled with water. From Murphy's hand, the photo card that the captain gave him slips out, and Jack Farimon is also on it. Then, while pumping water out of the engine room, they die one after another, Mander and Dodge. Epps is left alone on the ship with Jack. He confesses to her that he is a devil from the underworld, and his task is to collect the marked souls until a certain norm is met. But if the ship sinks, then its leaders will be unhappy. He offers EP a deal, her life in exchange for the ship, but Epps refuses, and despite Jack's fierce resistance, she manages to set off an explosive device that blows Farimon apart. The liner begins to sink to the bottom, but Katie shows Epps the way out of the sinking ship. Epps floats to the surface, and sees how the liberated souls of the victims of the ghost ship break out of the depths and rush upward. Among them is the soul of Katie. In the final scene of the film, Epps, which was picked up by a passenger liner that happened to be nearby, the orderlies are taken on a gurney to the shore. Glancing at the liner, she sees several people dressed in the uniform of stewards carrying the already familiar boxes of gold onto the ship by the ladder. The two in the rear are very similar to her dead comrades, and they are followed unharmed. Jack Farimon. Their eyes meet, and Epps screams in horror. The ambulance doors slam shut. That's how this movie ends. Thanks for watching. If you liked the retelling, put likes and subscribe. Soon there will be a lot of videos on the channel. See you later.